Hello, dear viewers. Welcome to our discussion or Q&A about the film Journey Around the Home in 60 Days, film by 7 Romanian film directors. This film is part of the festival of the competition festival section Between the Seas. And my name is Petr Šafařík. I am university lecturer, journalist, and I have also some small experience also in documentary film making. I will say a few words as introduction for our listeners or participants. From audience, they can ask questions by two ways. The first one is using the instrument Q&A below on the screen, and this means that the question would be in text and I would read it. And the second possibility to join the discussion, to ask a question or to say some commentary, is to use the instrument raising hand, and by using it, the participant would accept that this discussion is recorded, and the record is put on the website of the festival till the November the 8th, and later maybe also on a YouTube profile. Okay, so this is for the introduction, and it's my great pleasure to have here actually all 7 authors of 6 short films, which altogether make this film Journey Around the Home in 60 days. So my question would be, firstly, could someone describe us how this idea came and how it happened that these 6 films are now comprised to one film? And please always say your name before starting talking. So who could say something like, you are all directors, but I suppose that someone knows something about the origin also from the, let's say, the question of production of this film.
Well,
yes, so
the person who knows is not here. I mean, the person who put us together, Andrei Tănăsescu, who is the curator and the producer of this omnibus film, asked us, and several other, I think another 10 directors asked us in May this year to make short films during the lockdown that he would present in an online European Film Festival in Romania. And so he contacted us, and I was already working on it, but some other people started after, I don't know. Anyway, it was a great idea to gather us, and he also, so these 17 films, I think there were 17, were shown online in Romania in June. And then Andrei wanted to do an omnibus film, and it couldn't be done from all the films because it would be too long. So he had to do a selection, and we were lucky and honored to be part of the selection with our films. And that's how we got here.
Okay, so congratulations. And could someone else add something for his on her own way to this so-called omnibus film? You were asked by this spiritus agens, or 2 of us. One film is made by two directors. So I suppose Andra, Tarara, and David Schwartz. So could you maybe say something on your film?
Hello, yes. We already thought of making maybe a film with these toys and souvenirs that we had in our house. It's a huge collection, almost 400 of them. But when the proposal from Andrei came, it seemed to be like the right time to do it, because we were there in the lockdown, and we had to respect the rules imposed by this lockdown. So we were there in the house, not having any actors or something. So we gave the part to these toys that we had. David?
Yes, well, the film came out of two complementary ideas. One sort of the an aesthetic choice of the film, and it was to do it with the toys and dolls that we already had in our home. And the other sort of the idea of the content of the film came out of our sort of rage towards what was going on. We were there in the lockdown, and the situation, the medical and social situation, was terrible as it is. It is maybe worse now, but it was still very bad in March, April in Romania when we started to think about the concept of the film. So we tried to, and also we were. We tried to follow what was going on in the news and to read more about the context of a pandemic, of this pandemic, but also of other pandemics. So that's how we basically mixed these parts of some classic texts that we were reading. We did the script contains reinterpretations of texts by Boccaccio or by Edgar Allan Poe, and we mixed it with the news that were overwhelming us, and so that's how the concept and the script of the film developed.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. And could someone else also say us something? How, for example, was his or her situation? Whether it was, let's say, made for this project, or you have already started before this idea came out?
I can add something.
Alina Manolache.
Yes, it's me, Alina Manolache. I was really lucky to be able to travel through the production of my film, because I spent my quarantine by watching live footage from around the globe, filmed by surveillance cameras in many places around the world. And I was already watching this footage before starting working on the film. And when the invitation came, I said, maybe it's time to capture some footage and gather footage to start a montage. And I took the challenge more seriously, and I don't know. I woke up in the middle of the night to watch footage live from other continents, and it was pretty similar to the experience of filming, actually, because everything was live. So I had to be really present in the moment to capture what I wanted to use in the film.
Yes, there is actually one other films which has, let's say, unhuman perspective. This, let's say, sci-fi piece. So could the author say us something? What decided to have this idea, like some, let's say, extraterrestrial watching the people during the lockdown?
Yeah, I think
Teona.
that's me. My name is Teona Galgotiu, And yes, before Andrei Tănăsescu invited me to be part of this project, I was already filming myself around the house. I was watching a lot of Chantal Akerman's films, and I think I was very influenced by her. But I immediately felt very narcissistic just filming myself doing daily activities around the house. And then I thought that much closer to the feeling of alienation I was going through was this character. And even I was staying, of course, at home, everything felt very weird, even eating, or I don't know, reading, all these things had some kind of filter. So that's how the idea of someone who is a stranger came to me.
Mm-hmm. And when did you actually see the film as a whole, with all other contributions? And what is your opinion on the film as a whole? Who hasn't said something till now? If I may ask, Vlad Petri, what about you?
Hi, hello.
Hello.
For me, yeah, it was very interesting to see all the films all together. I saw some of them before because they were presented in Romania, but the way they are integrated into this final project, I think it's really interesting and challenging, because you see different points of views. You go from one house to another, from one city to another, and from different genres and different cinematic styles. From observational, you go to animation, and you go to found footage, and it's I think it's really nice, and I like yes, I think it's interesting to see these different perspectives, and yeah, to have them all together, you get a better sense of how this pandemic was felt by some of us.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much. Can someone else add something to the way how it works all together? Or did you actually, or I suppose everyone saw the film as a whole? Is that correct? Okay.
Yes, I would like to say something. I'm Laura Pop. Yes, I mean, I agree with what Vlad said, and also I think it's interesting that some of us looked at other people in other places, and some others looked inside in a way. I mean, in the end, everyone looked inside actually, but I think it's interesting that the omnibus juggles with these perspectives.
Mm-hmm. And is it so that in Romania the film was already shown, say us where, and what are reactions till now? Does someone know?
The film actually, these short films were screened separately, part of the European Film Festival in June, like Alecu said before. And all together in this formula, they haven't been screened yet. So we have this premiere at Ji.hlava, and we'll have them today, I think. No, tomorrow. Tomorrow they will be seen at Le Film de Cannes, Bucharest, this film festival that presents films from the Cannes Film Festival. So we'll see the reactions tomorrow. The film will be available one day for online viewing.
Yes, you are right. It's important to add that this is here in festival Ji.hlava. This was the world premiere, and the film is available since yesterday online on this website. I don't know if David Schwartz would like to add something on this previous topics and questions.
Yes, well, regarding the question of how the films were perceived, of course, the omnibus was not shown yet, but we had our short films online, and to us it was quite interesting that people could relate very much to the films and to the situation. In the particular case of our film, yes, we received a lot of comments and questions regarding the people who sort of felt they were in the same social and political situation, and they were glad that we articulated it in this particular way, as yeah, many of us felt sort of pressured by this lack of public institutions, lack of public services, and the way the whole system is functioning is not functioning it's sort of not functioning in the interest of the people or of the most people, but just running in this crazy way that nobody actually understands and nobody actually controls. So yeah, that's what we try to capture with the film, and I guess yeah, many people related to it.
So what is actually the current situation or impacts of coronavirus pandemic for Romanian film industry, or for your own, let's say someone is from you, Laura Pop works, let's say, in animation projects. The most of you are documentary filmmakers. So what is the current situation? You probably know that in Czech Republic, the second coronavirus wave is quite severe. So how it looks like for your, let's say, situation and possibility to make movies? Who would like to start?
Well,
You see, Vlad, yes, Alexandru, Solomon.
No, maybe this initiative of Andrei Tănăsescu to provoke us to make these shorts was also important because of this, because the film board in Romania, you know, were asking for months and months so that they come up with a strategy in those times to support the filmmakers and the production houses and the, you know, the film industry in general. Which didn't happen, and so an initiative like this, you know, gave us at least the impression that somebody cares about what we do in life, and that there will be, you know, an audience for this kind of films. And on the other hand, of course, everything is blocked because there are a few productions who have managed to film, but under very strict conditions, and probably in winter it's gonna totally closed down. And otherwise, I think the problem is that the whole financing structure will have to change, because the film board is financed through cinema tickets and advertising revenues mainly. And these are two sources that have disappeared almost entirely. So, and they don't seem to, you know, bother too much about that, but we'll see.
Okay, so for example, Laura Pop, is it now for animation films a bit better than other genres? Because one could say that you can sit in front of your computer.
Well, yes. I also wanted to add to what Alexandru said, that actually it's kind of ironic, because during the lockdown, what did people do? They watched films. So yes, it's kind of ironic. And as for the animation industry, yes, I guess it's a bit different, because as you said, it's much easier to just sit down and work all by yourself. And I mean, you can do it. You can easily work with other people remotely. and yes, I mean, we can see this at the university as well, because people who, I mean, the students who learn classic, I mean, filmmaking, it's more difficult for them to do their films, and yeah, whereas animation film, it's yes, it's much easier to just do from home.
Mm-hmm. And there's the same question for documentarists among you. If I would just say a few words that in Czech Republic, Romanian cinematography is known recently, of course, thanks to the so-called Romanian New Wave. So we know films by Cristian Mungiu or Cristi Yu. And I think because this aesthetics of this so-called Romanian New Wave is, let's say, realistic approach, or sometimes you can read about minimalist approach. So if I say it quite silly, it looks like, let's say, some competition towards documentary film making. So what's in general, the situation for documentary filmmakers? And secondly, if we reflect this coronavirus situation, you would like to?
I think I can add a little bit. I think it's very hard these days to really go on with your projects because also interacting with people. For example, I had to film something in a village with older people, and I think all the time for this I will need to stay in quarantine, to go there and stay for 2 weeks, and I cannot do actually this. And if not, it's really dangerous to expose people. Like you expose people when you make the film, when you're shooting, it's exposing. But now with the coronavirus, is even more. And even if you work with archives, the institutions are closed now in Romania. The public institutions like the national television, like you cannot enter these institutions, and we don't know for how long. So I think now it's good time to do this kind of projects, to make films in your room and to try to work with what you have, with the archive that you have, what you see from the window. And yeah, I don't, that's my opinion on how things are moving. And also financing is really hard, and the future is a little bit gray in terms of financing in Romania also.
Yes, someone else, can someone else also, let's say, more general on the Romanian documentary filmmaking? I don't know if Teona Galgotiu was raising her hand.
Yeah, I don't know if I can talk about documentary filmmaking because I mean, one of the reasons is because I'm still very young and I don't have a lot of experience with it, but also because in our film school in Bucharest, fiction films get a lot of more attention. And also I chose to go to the master in fiction film directing, even though there's a documentary one. But during the past months, I discovered with my approach and also some of my schoolmates that everyone feels that documentary film is something much more closer to what's happening now. And fiction looks, yeah, more far away logistically, but even emotionally, because it's very hard to think about stories that you invent all by yourself when in the world there's so much happening. So it feels like I'm migrating to documentary in a very unexpected way. I mean, I always felt close to documentary, but now it feels like this is what I want to do more.
Mm-hmm. Yes, it's important. It's important, actually. Let's say this coronavirus as an opportunity for documentary film. This is obvious. Well, on this topic, would someone like to add something on? I suppose you all work on other projects, so maybe there will be some second part of a journey around the home in 60 days. I suppose that you would accept such a new invitation.
Yeah, but I think it's a good time to reflect and you know, have a break and see what you want to do next. But otherwise, in terms of documentary making, I felt always that in Romania it has become more and more difficult because people are more and more reluctant to expose themselves anyway. And this is mainly because of the relationship with the media and the social media that is exposing people in a very, you know, wicked way. So people don't trust the camera anymore, and this is since a long time. And now I'm wondering if, with all these barriers, masks, and you know, dangers that we face whenever you encounter other people, how is this going to change the relationship with a person having a camera? Is it going to, you know, are we going to reset and go back to the trust, or is it going to become total?
But this is a very important point, I guess. Yeah, we hear you with some delay a little bit. So, but I think everyone could hear, and I guess this is a very important point. This, let's say, the trust and what other media, first of all, social media, do with this trust to take part in some documentary filmmaking. Is would other agree with Alexandru Salomon in that point on, or if we reflect the future? So what do you think this Corona crisis could it deepen the mistrust, or on the contrary, maybe some new sensitivity and also some new approach to be open also towards documentary filmmaker by the public, by the, let's say, social actors? What would you say? Regarding this also competition, if I call it like this, from social media and other media.
I can add a little bit that I totally agree with Alecu. It's a thing in the past years, let's say in the last 10 years maybe, or it gradually became more and more harder to film and to actually to explain people what your interests are behind, what is about this documentary in terms of presenting and representing their lives. And I think the impact is from television and now social media, like, yeah, most people think that you'll make fun of, or you'll, they don't trust anymore the camera and the filmmaker. And yeah, maybe we'll move to personal stories, to ourselves, to document our lives. I don't know, but it's a hard question, I think, to maybe it will be a reset after this, but I think no one knows. Or maybe it will be more masks and everything will be anamorphic. I don't know, only the eyes.
Okay, so would someone like to add something? Because we will probably finish with this slightly pessimistic tone, but as you have shown in your films, that there are still possibilities to be creative and to reflect it in a very interesting way. So there is no other opinion. Then I would like to thank you all very much, and I wish you all the best, and we will be looking forward to see your next film, maybe again in the film festival Ji.hlava. So good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye.
Ciao.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye.
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 Thank you. Bye.